In this video, I want to go over Microsoft Dynamics and some basics about Dynamics, how to navigate, what are some of the different things called, and that way it should set a good foundation for the rest of the video series. So Microsoft Dynamics is a customer relationship manager, or CRM. We have branded it as the VMS in the same way that Roll Call is actually Cornerstone's software in the background that we just call Roll Call. This is the Microsoft Dynamics that we are calling the VMS. So in general, there is a specific URL that people will go to, so don't worry about this one. This is just the development environment. There's going to be a few different environments, so you'll get the real one to log into at some point once it's ready. You can get to this with any browser. I happen to use Google Chrome, which works pretty well for most things, but any other browser will do. Across the top we have these different navigational elements. The main thing that you can try to remember is that wherever you are in the system, there's always going to be some drop downs to try to get you to other places, but if you ever get lost, you can just hit this Team Rubicon button and it will kind of bring you back to this home view. So we have a few different things I'll go over. One is these tiles up here. So if you hit the drop down, you'll get a bunch of different tiles. And then we have, these things are called entities. And so we've got a dashboard entity, contact entity, etc. As you click into the different tiles, you'll have different entities available to you depending on your security role in the system. So I'll probably have a lot more than most people just because at the moment I'm considered a power user, and so I've got access to a little bit more than most, but you should see at least volunteer management. And the top four things you're going to care about in here are the dashboards, which we'll take a look at here in a minute. The contact records, these are all the actual volunteers, so you'll be able to look up information on a volunteer depending on your security role, so that you can help them with certain things, or you might be responsible for a certain geographical area, and so maybe you do some outreach for those people, etc. Then we have users, which are the volunteer leaders and their accounts. And then we have events, which is the new event management system that we're coming out with here shortly. So to click in, or to move around, you would simply just click into whatever entity you want to see. You can go back a level if you want to go to a different area. Each of the areas that you're in, each of these entities has their own set of some additional fields that you can take a look at, or at least see what you have recently viewed. Over here on the right, you can do a search for anything in the system. So if I take a look for Prill, for example, I can see my real contact record, my fake contact record, and my user account. And you can look for anything so in the entire system. So we have an event that's in there called Pig Out in the Park, which is actually an event going on at the moment in Spokane. So that search feature is very handy, and it can get you to some things that you're looking for pretty quickly. The recently viewed items button, it does exactly what it sounds. It brings you right back to the things that you've looked at most recently. And if you want to, you can pin these things so that they stay at the top of the list. So I can come back a week from now and these things will still be pinned. And so it's a quick way to be able to get back to something that you might care about or need to check fairly often. We're going to skip this new button because I don't think most people will have it. Advanced Find is exactly what it sounds like. It is a very powerful tool to be able to go in and find exactly what you're looking for inside of Dynamics. It's outside the scope of this particular video, but there is going to be another video for Advanced Find because there is a ton of stuff you can do with it. Pretty much this will become, for the power users that are out there, this will become one of your best friends. Inside these settings over here, there's really not too much that people will probably care about. This menu here is a slide out menu called the sidebar. Get rid of this. There we go. The sidebar will have contextual help for the page that you happen to be on. So if you find yourself in an event, the sidebar should have help for that specific entity. So we're still working on that. That'll be in a different video. Then of course you have your actual profile, which at the moment you can really just give yourself a new image, and that's about it. So once you're in a specific entity, there's a couple things to look out for here as well. One of them is there's a bunch of different views built into each entity. There are things called system views, which are global for every user. So every user will see all these different system views. And then we have personal views or my views, which are usually someone will start with a system view, use the filter button to change some stuff, and then they can save that as a new personal view. And so we'll have that opened up. And I've got a couple examples. So if I wanted to see just training events in, I believe this is just in Colorado, then I've got a personal view that allows me to do that. Okay, so there'll be a video specifically on how to set up these views. Once you're in a specific event, there are some other navigational things that are pretty consistent across the board. One is this business flow. This green section up here has the different business process flows. You can expand and contract that with this little button over here. There's drop downs in the different forms that allow you to go to the specific section that you might care about. And then last but not least, there's a number of places in the various forms that have this blue hyperlink. These are all basically lookup records to other entities. So we have an entity called region 8. So if I were to click this, it would take me to that particular entity. So we'll talk about that because that's has been kind of thrown a couple people every now and then. They go to try to select something and instead they hit the hyperlink and they find themselves on that entity's page when they didn't actually mean to go there. So be on the lookout for that. That's about it for the basic navigation of Dynamics. There's going to be a lot more discussion on that in the rest of the video series, but for now that's it. If you have any questions, go ahead and send me an email. You should have my information here on the screen now, and we'll see you in the next video.